Hey friends, my name is Anti-Tribute, and I'd like to take a minute to talk to you about a new MMO called Pax Dei, where stories are forged, friendships bloom, rivalries take shape, and adventure awaits. I've been an MMO player for more years than I'd probably like to admit. I started with the launch of World of Warcraft and moved through various MMOs over the next 2 decades. But the primary MMO that I love most has been EVE Online. And I know some of you just made a face at that, but let me tell you why PAX Day is going to be better than EVE Online one day. PAX Day launched on October 16th this year after a long early access period. The developers are MainFrame, and they come from companies like CCP, Next Games, Blizzard Entertainment, and Remedy. You can see the inspiration from many of these games that the team has worked on before in the gameplay and in the vision, but none more so than EVE Online. At the heart of it, this game has a similar build your own story vision that EVE has, but with much better and more engaging gameplay. The footage you're seeing now on screen is just me running around doing basic gameplay loops, crafting some charcoal, and accessing chests. Eventually I do a tiny bit of combat, so you can see a couple seconds of that. So PAX Day is a social sandbox MMO. It's kind of a really vague statement to make, but essentially what it means is the goal of the game is to tell a shared story that spans years, if not decades, with thousands of other players and finding your own place in that story. The game's designed for players to join groups of other players to work towards goals, claim land, and build beautiful structures. There are no quests, there are no friendly NPCs. Any NPC that you see in the game is likely to want to kill you. This is kind of akin to a choose your own adventure book, but there's no script. Every day when you log on, you're making the choice that's going to shape your story for years to come. There are several different servers for the game. They are region based, so most likely you're going to be able to find a server that will align with your home region. Each region has two different types of servers. There are roleplay servers where the players act out characters' lives, and it is understood that your character's personality is what people are going to be seeing, not necessarily your personality. There are also non-roleplay servers where players understand that you, the player, are the personality they are seeing and interacting with. The game does lend itself really well to the role-playing community. It has a deep building system and an incredible world to explore. The lore of the game is incredibly deep, and I am really hoping that one day we get a dedicated YouTuber who will cover that lore. It is so complex and spawning and yet vague that I do not feel I would do it justice. Character customization is one of the strongest suits of the game. The character creator that helps you shape the person that you're going to play on is deep, option filled, and incredibly customizable. As well as in game, there are 3 different types of armor and many different types of weapon that can be mixed and matched, all to shape a different character from every other player. The game does revolve around the typical trinity, so there is a tank, there is a healer, and there is a DPS. But the items that you choose will shape how you tank, how you heal, and how you DPS. Offensive magic doesn't exist in the game, so those of you who love the wizards and mages of other games, not quite yet, but the dev team does have it on the radar to add this back to the game. There are 13 different trade skills in the game that allow players to produce armors, weapons, potions, and various other goods. Then there are 3 core gathering skills that help you gather ore, animal hides, or wood that are all used in those crafting trade skills. One of the things that you're going to hear about the game is that the skills can be a real grind. And I think that's wholeheartedly intentional. The developers designed this game for groups of players to work together towards goals. So while solo is absolutely an option and a very viable way to play this game, by working with a group of other players, you are unloading some of that burden to level these skills onto others who can help with the gathering. They can help with the crafting, and essentially you can aim to be the first to master a skill in your region or realm. The building system in the game is absolutely one of its strongest suits. Players can all build and customize their own space in the game by participating in the plot system. These spaces can be as simple as a small stick hut to a giant castle that over 100 players work together on. PvP is a huge factor in the game. Right now, there are 5 main provinces in the game that are places that players can play. Of those, 4 you can live in. The 5th zone is a PvP zone itself, and players cannot currently build in this zone, and you are always flagged for PvP while in it. The 4 main zones, though, are safe from PvP. If you die in PvP, the players who killed you have the opportunity to loot your gear and anything you're carrying, and that's creating this really nice cycle of build something, use it, get it destroyed, and then have to rebuild. One of the most exciting things coming to the game soon, likely before the end of the year, is players will be able to claim land in the PvP zone, and this will give them access to the rare resources and NPCs that are present there, as well as give them things to fight over every single day. If you're familiar with EVE Online, you'll know that one of the major selling points of the game is the strong economy and market that exists there. And I believe that Pax Dei is headed in a very similar direction. Today, the market's fairly simple, but you can absolutely interact with other players and exchange goods. This is done by building a market stall in an area and listing items for sale, which players can then come by. This kind of makes it so every different province in the game may have slightly different economies and prices, and travel to other zones to see what's cheap there and available, and potentially even coming back and reselling it in your zone is a very viable playstyle. The data for sales isn't something currently available to players outside of manual tracking, but you can bet that there are many, many players already starting to build market spreadsheets, do analysis, and track prices and trends. Something else that set EVE Online apart was the logistics and hauling was a core gameplay loop. So if you've ever enjoyed planning things or planning out a structure or a giant move or gathering operation, this is absolutely a game for you. These big structures take absolutely immense amounts of materials to make, and someone needs to coordinate the people to gather them, the people to move them from place to place, and the builders to build them. If you need to travel through the PvP province, You are also placing yourself at risk as well as any goods you're carrying, which is something that I look forward to doing many, many times. So, where is the game going? I guess that's the big question that everybody's wondering, because right now, I'll admit, the game is not perfect. It certainly could use some more content. There are features the devs are currently working on that will vastly enhance the game, but ultimately, the game is headed towards a very EVE Online-like state where players build in the PvP zone. They fight for control of areas, they fight for control of markets there, and they build friendships, build enemies, and fight wars. In the near future, the enhancement will come out that allows players to claim this land, opening up a huge, huge gameplay loop of selling to these players inside this PvP zone, buying from rare resources from these players, and forging long-term empires. The game is going to rely on friendships, grudges, and temporary need to really drive a lot of the action. If your ally is attacked, you have to make that choice to turn your back on them or help defend and rally your troops to fight beside them. And ultimately, what you're building in Pax Dei is your reputation. Your personal reputation is going to be everything in this game. You can choose to either take part in Grand Wars, build a trade empire that spans regions, or just build a cozy cottage and make some friends and hang out on the weekends in Pax Dei. I'll make sure to link below the company webpage in case you want to read more, and the main Discord for the game if you want to hop in and check out the community. I'm really excited to see how Pax Dei evolves over the years. Plan to make a few more videos that'll go more in depth, but this was just an opportunity to share kind of what the game is and a little bit of where I think it's going. If we haven't met yet in game, I hope we one day do. Till then, we will continue to build our tales and see what adventure tomorrow